Hello, everyone. It's Nadim. I had a few people reach out and say that they don't really know how to make the graphs on Excel, and so I just wanted to provide a brief tutorial to help you guys out. Now, when you're grabbing data, you need to grab one from your own group, and then you need to grab two from other groups. So, for demonstration purposes, I am going to pretend to be section 3, group 2, and so I'm going to grab one of the mock infected, and that is mock infected number 2. Doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 2. And I'm going to paste that data here. And then let's see, we can just select others. So we have a mock infected here that we can select. And then one more, and we will do just take from this one. Okay, so now I have 3 mock infected data points. And I'm going to label that for myself, just so I know. And then I'm going to put over here pathogen infected. So I'm going to grab my group's data. And then paste that there. And then again, just grab data from 3 other groups. Just like that. And so now we have 1, 2, 3 data points for both the mock infected and the pathogen. I'm also going to grab the population labels here, just so we know what numbers are which. And when we make the graphs, it'll automatically name it for us. All right, now when we're graphing, we're not going to take all of these values. We're just going to take the average of each one. So here we're going to put average. And in Excel, you can just press equal and then start typing average and it'll come up. It's the first one here. This will input the average function, and then you can select what data you want to take the average of. And here we want to take average of the 3 data points that we selected. Boom. And then you can grab this little square down here and drag down, and it's going to automatically populate. You can also do the same over here, and this average function is taking the left 3 points, and so it's going to do the same thing if you copy and paste it elsewhere. And then you can drag down and it automatically populates. And we can just double check and see that yes, it's taking the average of NK cells for the pathogen. And then here it's taking the average of macrophages for the pathogen. Now when you want to make the graph, you can select this column for your labeling, press Control on your keyboard and hold it, and then you can select the other 2 averages. Real quick, I'm not going to select leukocytes, and I'll explain why in a bit. So here I'm going to go ahead and insert a regular bar graph, and as you can see, we have all our population labels down at the bottom, but we have series 1 and series 2. So to change that, we're going to press on Select Data up here. When this window comes up, you can see that it says Series 1 and Series 2 here. We want to change that name, and we want to have that Series 1 is mock infected, and then Series 2 is pathogen infected. Okay, that's all good. And then for axis titles, we do need axis titles, just not on the x-axis, just on the y-axis. We already have what cell populations are there, so we don't need to label that down there. But here, this is going to be total cells. Okay, the other thing we need is error bars, and I'm going to put in standard error. And it's always weird to me when I see error bars extending below 0 on a graph. So just for this lab, and I'm just clicking on the error bar itself and then pressing plus so that it only shows the error above the graph, not below. Okay. So here's your first graph, and this is for basically all of these subpopulations. Now for total leukocytes, why I didn't put it on here is that you have many, many more leukocytes than these other subpopulations. And so the bars will be really large on leukocytes, and you won't really get to see what's happening with the other data on the graph. So leukocytes are going to get their own graph. You don't have to do it this way. If I'm presenting my data, I would prefer to do it this way for myself. I can see that it's switching the X and Y axis, and I don't want that, so I'm just gonna hit switch row/column, and perfect. Now we have the leukocytes at the bottom, and the correct numbers are displayed on the left. We can again put access titles. I'm not gonna need that here at the bottom, but we will need a legend. I don't know why it didn't automatically put a legend in here. It did on this graph, the bottom one, but for here, again, it renamed it Series 1 and Series 2, and that's fine. We're just gonna go ahead and rename them, just like we did with the bottom graph. Y-axis is going to be labeled total cells, and again, you need a chart title for both of these, and decide what you want to call it. Now, again, to change the Series 1 and Series 2, we're going to go to Select Data. Series 1 is mock infected. Series 2 is pathogen infected. And that's really it, honestly. That's all there is for your graphs. When you go to put them into your report, just make sure you have figure, like a figure label, explaining what this graph is. Just help the reader understand what they're looking at. And yeah, that's it. Let me know if you guys have questions.